This is just a little diagram of a continuous flow through wormery design. It's just a quick sketch, but I just wanted to show you some ideas here. The the cube around the outside is a GR8 Garden Products 458 litre world wire compost cage. They're quite good. They're only about £17. They're nice and cheap. What I've got here is a cone. This is actually going to be made from parts of a 45-gallon barrel. So basically, I split the barrel. Cut the top and the bottom of the barrel off, split it down, flatten out the barrel, and then use a template just to cut out with a jigsaw, just a net for the cone. And then I make a seam down here, bolt a piece of offcut of high density polyethylene from the barrel on there, using stainless steel bolts to sort of bolt that together. There's a bit of computer software for just working out the size of the maximum size of the cone you can get from the barrel. There are some calculations in terms of the area at the top. I wanted that to really coincide with the size of a tray from a can of Worms Wormery. And then the bottom part, obviously, you've got a taper on there. So the idea is that the worm castings actually tend to compact down towards the base, and that helps to drive the worms higher up, so they're more active in the top rather than the base. But what I've shown here, a couple of concrete blocks and some angle iron, which just a basic frame that could just be either welded or just bolted through. So you've got two short cross pieces, and then you've got the width ways, going across ways, and then these just sit on top of the block, which could be just high density concrete or whatever. Or I'm not really sure about the dimensions. This is just a sketch, as I said, so it might just be concrete sort of drive sets or something like that. But you can access the castings through the base here, so you need an opening. But what I've shown here is that centered onto the compost cage, but ideally you'd want it to be slightly towards the front, or you could actually make a sort of it doesn't actually have to be parallel, it could actually taper towards the front. I'd have to work out the development to actually cut that out from the plastic, because this is just showing a cone, but it could actually come down 90 degrees there and then just angle back the other way. But I'd have to work out the development for cutting out the template and then making that cone. But what I've shown here is these are just bits of old fence post and scaffold boards. So ideally what I would do is I'd almost like a mix of hugelkultur and like lasagna gardening. So you basically build a dry stone sort of wall just with courses of scaffold boards, just to build up lots of organic matter in here, but also give it a little bit of structure, and reduce the amount of compost you actually need to get this planted up. So what I was thinking of doing is laying some boards down, getting just some even comfrey leaves or something like that, and then a bit of compost, and then just keep building this up layer by layer by layer by layer till we get to the top. So you basically infill all that space mainly with wood, but there'd be a little bit of sort of maybe 20 mil thick layers of soil in between those boards, and that would just be enough just to kind of root in some succulents, sedums and things, and I've leaf tomflax and stuff. So the idea is when it rains, that wood, as it starts to break down, it absorbs lots of moisture, and it helps to sort of just provide a little bit of moisture around the outside of this bed, because this is vertical, so it's about 3 foot tall. It's pretty much 3 foot square, really. I'm not sure about the exact dimensions. It's slightly smaller than 3 feet wide, I think. The other thing I was thinking of here, that would have to be built up a number of layers, and then you'd have some means of actually reaching through and harvesting that. So what I've done before is I've just cut a small hatch. That could just be plywood or whatever, a few holes drilled in it. And then what I did before, I just put some bricks under there just to help sort of support the worm casting. So when it first set this up, it doesn't just drop right through. as the worms work through the material and the material breaks down, it will compact into this layer here, and then you won't actually need that hatch. But when you take the hatch away, the casting will be sort of self-supporting. But obviously, once you start moving that around, it will tend to sort of drop down. But I'm not really sure if this is effective or not. But when I'm built this before, the cage just settled into the ground, and then the weight of all this was 458 kilos or whatever. It just sort of settled a little bit, and I had a cut down barrel which I was using as a sort of harvesting bay, but that just deformed under the weight. So what I was thinking is maybe even just set the whole thing on a couple of 4 paving slabs, get the concrete block there. The slabs could be set on MOT and sharp sand, just so they're quite firmly tamped down, and obviously soil contact. Once you've got worm casts in here, there's going to be a layer of compost on there. There's going to be worms in there. You're not going to be able to keep those out. But I was thinking about having some sort of plastic membrane to act as a reservoir. Have that curled up in here, and then capillary matting somehow sort of linking the capillary matting around. I'm not really sure if this is required or not, but as this is open to the rain, I think any moisture that runs through this worm castings, it would be nice to kind of make use of that somehow, rather than just running off. But in 2 minds, it might be worth doing a few of these in a row and then having some with and some without, just to kind of see what the difference is. But what I like about this is that the actual compost cone part is sitting on that angle iron there. So if there's any settlement in this, you can just lift the whole thing up, and then you can rejig that. You can put a couple of blocks of wood or whatever just to sort of set it up again. And so it's a bit more easier to maintain. If that was actually bolted through to this piece, you'd have to take all the wood out and all the planting and everything like that. But the idea of this is the lid, and that will prevent sort of rodents and from just gnawing all the material that's in there, because you're going to basically have 100 millimeter depth of compost there, and all the plants and then the roots or whatever goes down into that, and that just makes a nice seal on top. When I did this before, I had some wire cage sort of panels on top